There we go. I'm climbing onto my little pulpit, and I want to say something that I think I've probably said before, but I want, if it's at all possible, to be quite concise about it. That's quite difficult for me now because I just cannot stop. But I really will. It's 27 seconds, whatever. It's so precious to me to be able to communicate this. And that is that, and this is really a message for, I suppose, the group, really. We've been given so much, and, words are always weak and anemic, but nevertheless, they're very, very important. And in the beginning was the Word, isn't it? And so everybody is saying things, is revealing certain, if they feel compelled to do so, revealing understandings, or Mrs. Tweedy used the word infused. I love that. We're never taught things. We don't learn things. We don't get them out of books. They're just infused, and one only know, in a way, you only kind of know that you know it because you hear yourself saying it, but you recognize it as a truth. And this is, I'll really try to be so precise, concise, sorry. And that is that I have no editing software or anything, so you're just getting it raw. That life is the interplay between spirit and matter. Very uncomfortable, meant to be like that. Uncomfortable interplay because they're so tremendously difficult. But if the will of God pervades everything, then there is absolutely no room to perceive anything. The most brutal life experiences, unhappinesses, lonelinesses, life challenges, what Mrs. Tweedy called the vicissitudes of life in our first correspondence. We are not, that's a whole other story. Perhaps I'll get a chance to relate it one day, but it's just my own personal story, which is, so precious. But if there is the will of God, nobody is ever a victim of circumstances. The only way that you can ever be a victim of certain circumstances is if you believe you are, and that is the biggest belief to go. So believing that you got a raw deal in any way is, it's just a lie. And I just did a very long kind of series of these kinds of things for my family. And I might actually have to use my computer, which I don't have with me, and I really don't want to have with me. I might have to wait, because it was so important for me to say certain things, because I've been walking around for my whole life feeling lonely in my family, feeling apart, and like so many of us, black sheep. And loneliness never works in isolation. It is paradoxically, ironically, tremendously contagious, and I know that my loneliness, my feeling of loneliness, and whatever other emotions held that up inside of my psyche, surely had an effect on them. Somebody might be coming with paracetamol. That's all I'm taking, and I'm just getting some kind of unusual, this was a big son of a bitch in my, pardon my language, that I think that was removed. I'm going to find out next week what it was, after the weekend. But I think that it continues to drain, and there are sometimes some unusual sensations, and paracetamol is helpful. But they can't, there has to be, you can't have it more frequently than I think every 4 hours or something like that. So I completely respect all their protocols, 1000%. So I just wanted to say that if everything is the will of God, nobody, no matter what happened, this includes suicide, rape, accidents, murder, homelessness, everything, abandonment, mental illness, poverty, it doesn't matter. These are all gifts of the little part of the human experience that each of us, the unique little kernel of this reconciliation, of trying to find, what Mrs. Tweedy called this, being a soldier of the two worlds, spirit and matter. Matter is the illusion part, but it's a pretty potent illusion, and we have to live within it. And I am a very, very worldly person. I've always operated in the world, and I had to. That's just my incarnation. I am a marketplace sort of a person, and I accept that. Even though I had those years of not having to do anything but be at Tenmouth Road, the happiest. I'm not going to say happiest. It's really wrong, because I'm so incredibly happy right now. But I really felt so hard done by, and I think that modern psychology really cheats people by giving them a system of cause and effect, and also a system of models of normality. I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but we are beings of a much finer kind, but we have to navigate through this conflicted material world. But I just invite you to join me in this delightful feeling of complete, utter acceptance of the whole lot. Nobody's got a bad deal, except that we really, I feel, can and must do more for people, especially those of us who live in the UK or in the United States, these rich, privileged countries where our cities have so many people who are alone, isolated, and not having their absolutely basic human need for shelter and warmth met. And I hope that we as a group, well, I don't hope anything, I really don't, but I just want to pass that on, because it's almost exactly at around, between, say, 1:30 and 2:30, that the real reality, it's a very vulnerable time for me, the reality of this homeless thing. I really can feel it in a way that feels very, very uncomfortable. So, God bless you, my darlings. And just one last request, and that is, please, no direct communication. I'm still, although you can see I'm very strong, I'm still quite fragile, and I'm a megalomaniac. I kind of know who I have to speak to, and I can't handle any visitors. I think I've said this before, but I send you my tremendous gratitude.